Do you want to know how Claude is actually running things behind the scenes for myself and some of my masterminders? Because you are in luck, and that is what this episode is all about. Welcome to the Soulful Sales Show, where we talk about believing in the value of your offers, getting them in front of your right people, and selling more of what you do in your unique way. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Sales Show. So last week's episode was all about how we ditched ChatGPT and have been moving to Claude. I actually had another conversation about this topic, but it went in totally different directions with totally different use cases. So I decided to upload them both as part 1 and part 2. So in this second conversation, which is about Claude, and you can listen to the first one and the previous episode, but if you haven't listened, it doesn't matter. You can listen in any order. Some of my Weird Hermits mastermind buddies got together to dive even deeper into what Claude skills actually are, to share some more use cases like dynamic sales pages that update themselves, testing your own GPTs and skills, SEO workflows, using the dispatch mode so that you can send it tasks while you're literally sat down watching TV on your phone. We also explain the difference between Claude Chat, Cowork and Code. So going a bit into the code mode of Claude, which we didn't touch on in the last episode. And honestly, end with a very, very clever exercise to take the transcript of this podcast, which is linked to from the show notes, to feed that transcript into Claude and to ask it which of the specific ideas that we talked about in this episode would work for your business. And I would love to hear what you come up with, by the way. Anyway, all of the links to everyone who is speaking on this episode are linked to from the show notes. We also have a very specific bundle of free AI goodies. So head to the show notes to get our AI specific freebies. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this second conversation about Claude. It is definitely blowing our minds. And there are so many more ideas in this episode that just build on the last one as well.
Welcome, everyone. We are here for a roundtable with a peer mastermind that we call ourselves the Weird Hermits. If you've been in any of our worlds for a while, you've probably heard some of these roundtables. And today we want to do a roundtable based on using Claude. Claude has been all the rage in the online space around AI. And so all of us pretty much are new to it, I believe, and we're diving in and learning so much. And so that's what this roundtable is going to be about. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves, and then we're going to kick it off and talk about all the fun things we're doing in Claude. So I will call on Destiny first to introduce yourself.
Oh, well, super excited to be here. And Monica, thanks for pulling all of this together. My name is Dr. Destiny Kopp, and I have 2 brands that I run, Hobby School and the Creators MBA, where I help digital product entrepreneurs grow their business with the Creator Growth Flywheel. And I'm super excited about the conversation today.
Me too. Kate.
Hey, I'm Kate Kortzmeyer. I'm the founder of Success with Soul, and we help coaches, course creators, digital product sellers build high maintenance. Oh my gosh. It's been a week, you guys. High profit, low maintenance. There we go. Big difference. High profit, low maintenance businesses without social media.
Liz.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Stevenson. I also have a couple of brands. So over to lizwithstevenson.com, I help online business owners understand the legal side of things, which AI and the law is getting real fun. It's the Wild West. And then over at Creator Ops Hub, I help creators and online business owners streamline with workflows and systems that definitely involve AI.
Love it. Jody.
Oh, you're muted, Jody.
I'm muted, which is rare for me. I'm Jody Bohr, and I also have multiple brands. I just started a new brand, Jody. It's called Born Strategic AI, and it is for female entrepreneurs to help them use AI and be seen, get more visibility through SEO and AI search strategies. And then I also own Born Creative SDR Solutions, which helps women who own short-term rentals build a short-term rental business.
Love that. I love the new direction with SEO, with AI. Steph.
I am Steph Blake. I am an automation expert and business strategist. I also have multiple brands. The first is doing exactly what I do, helping small business owners simplify and automate their businesses. And the second is focused on helping you reconnect with your creativity and using that as a way to really get in touch with yourself. So we run monthly events for that as well.
Love it. Ruth?
Hi, everyone. I am Ruth Poundwhite, and I support business owners, especially neurodivergent, introverted, low capacity business owners, to sell more with less effort. And definitely using AI is a huge part of that.
Love that. My name's Monica Froese, and going along with the trend, I have 2 brands as well. So I have Empowered Business, where I help people create high converting digital products with the help of AI. And then I have a B2C brand, which is Redefining Mom, which is kind of evolving now into, well, the hope is to a community to help moms leverage AI in their daily lives. So we are all pretty much very much involved in using AI in our businesses. And I think I want to start the conversation with the bridge between ChatGPT and Claude. At least I know for me, I was basically only using ChatGPT. I had decided when I got into AI that I really needed to double down on one tool to understand it. Otherwise, I was going to be too squirrel, like we always are in this entrepreneur world. And I really had no idea that I was just using it like a chat. I was not doing anything authentic. It wasn't really doing anything for me. And I didn't realize that till I moved to Claude. So that was kind of like my evolution. I did not pick up Claude until March, when it kind of became all the rage with the Pentagon story and all that. So I kind of want to get a feel for what everyone else was doing before they discovered Claude. What were they using? Were they using chat? What made them get on the Claude bandwagon?
I'll speak up. So I was slower to Claude, in part because you guys were all doing Claude and discovered Cowork very quickly, and I could not get Cowork to work on my computer. It was like a thing with like the various updated version that I was on. It was the whole thing. It took a while. And so I was like super jealous and was like, ugh, I'm annoyed. But then I started just being able in the chat to help build out pages was so much faster. I will say, because I'm cheap and I'm on the $20 a month plan, I do still use ChatGPT. So I'm very strategic in how I use Claude, because the usage just like can be very quick if you're not careful. And so I love using it in terms of like, it's better for any kind of copy you need to create. And so I sort of leave more technical things that either Claude or Codex could do, which is ChatGPT's, to Codex, because I'm not as worried about the limits there. But like all the kind of more creative side of things, I definitely lean into Claude for, and I love using it for creating pages. It just helped me create a Kit cleanup manager, so I can clean up my Kit account because I've got 450 tags in there. I can share that with our call later, guys. But yeah, so it's kind of like seeing all these cool things you guys were doing and then trying to see what I could do without Cowork kind of got me into that and started experimenting.
I like how you pointed out that Claude is where you can be creative. And I would agree with that. It's really brought out a creative side that I've not been able to do. Anyone else kind of had that transition from chat to Claude?
I mean, I'll jump in here and just kind of talk about my experience. So I actually started with Claude, whenever we started way back then, because I liked it. I thought it was better for copywriting. And then, I went back, really started using ChatGPT mostly because we were really digging into those custom GPTs and selling them and using those in our business. So that was a huge advantage. So I kind of forgot about Claude. And then I stumbled upon it kind of when all the rage was coming up. But I had this issue that ChatGPT couldn't help me with. And I was working with a client doing an audit for her. And it was all about copying and positioning and what we were doing for her membership. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Claude and see if I can, see if it can help me with this, because it's supposed to be better with copy and all that. And that's kind of when I had my aha moment, because when I was working with Claude on that client issue, I was telling it, here's the issue, here's what I want to kind of help her work through. It gave me 2 complete sales pages with different positioning that we could, look at and review. And I looked at it and I was able to publish that artifact for her and show it to her. And then when I went back to it, I'm like, oh my goodness, it gave these sales pages to me in HTML, and it like built out the whole thing. I'd never seen that before. So I kind of like stumbled upon that, and I knew immediately that was a game changer.
I agreed. So I think the biggest thing that I discovered So I get asked a lot about the custom GPTs and how they translate over to Claude. So I do want to talk about that. But I think custom GPTs are the first thing that most of us did find. And essentially, it's like you can put frameworks, you can put your IP, you can put guardrails and have the chat act a certain way based on these instructions you're giving, which felt really powerful. And it was a really great way to help our students and people in our programs and even like internal processes. And then, but it kind of stopped there. It kept you on a guardrail, but it didn't do anything for you. And it seemed the connection point happened with Claude that it would take it a step further and actually create something out of your output. Is that how everyone's seeing that?
Yeah, I feel like and we've talked about this before, Monica, but like the agentic abilities we've been hearing about this for years with ChatGPT, and I could never even get it to like connect to my email or something really basic. I was always like, I don't understand. I'm very techie. I could not figure this out. And then, yeah, very similar to a lot of people here. I was using Claude just for copy for basically the last few years, but everything else I was doing in ChatGPT, which I don't know why. I don't know why I never went. I wonder if I think I was just like so all in with ChatGPT that it was like, why bother? And then once I started hearing about skills and then kind of seeing, like Destiny said, oh my gosh, wait, it just created this HTML page for me. It just created this artifact. It created this very interactive tool that's branded and beautiful, even like creating the Google Doc in my brand and things like that ChatGPT was never able to do. I feel like that's when it clicked for me. And when I was like, the ChatGPT, I'm all in on Claude.
Does someone want to take the stab at explaining to everyone what a skill is in Claude?
Oh, sure. I will.
Go.
Because I had like literally 50 of them created at this point. But I would say for me, it's funny because my husband kept talking about Claude in January of this year. So it's about 4 months ago. I was like, I don't care about Claude. Like I have my whole life in ChatGPT. I'm not switching over. Like I don't want to even take the time to learn how to do it. And then at our in-person event last month, I didn't even have Claude on my computer. And everybody was like, you have to sign up for Claude. And you guys can all attest to this. Like I didn't know what I was doing with it. And then like a day later, I became obsessed. And it was like everybody was saying, the first thing that I realized was it could do so many more powerful things, like creating the pages, like Destiny said. But it's not just that. It can connect to other services much more easily than ChatGPT did. So I was connecting to other things with ChatGPT, but you had to use like Zapier and like Playground. And it was just like this whole mess. Like it was just too much work. And Claude makes it so easy. Like I have it connected to my Airtable, my ClickUp. I have different things through Cloudflare, and it's like all piecing together. My Canva creates graphics in Canva. So that's the biggest thing. And Google Drive, like everything. It literally connects everything. So it's not just like giving you an output, it's actually doing the work for you, whether you're in Cowork, whether you're in chat. And then that's where the skills come in, right? So the skills are, the way that I like to describe these are like a super, super, super powerful custom GPT, right? So you pre-fill it with information about whatever it is that you are creating, right? So for example, I know like one of my skills is around an email sequence, right? So for our events, I wanted to create a skill that would specifically focus on writing those emails to invite people to our event. So I went through the process of telling it what I wanted to look like, refining it, creating HTML emails out of it, and then having it input those emails into my Airtable base for me. And then once I had that process figured out, then it would package it up into a skill. So unlike a custom GPT where you're just kind of giving it instructions, this also does the work for you. So it's, yes, giving it instructions to create the thing, but then it can output to an external resource if you want it to. So hopefully that explanation makes sense.
I would add something to this because one of the
Yep.
great things about skills is you can just chat. Like you can just chat to Claude and you've had a conversation, you've been doing different things. You're like, hey, can we just make a skill out of this, please? It's just so easy. You don't have to do a separate thing and go into a separate screen. And like creating a custom GPT is easy once you have done it, but this is even easier. And it is so easy to call on your skills whenever you want and to mix and match skills. I just love that for my brain. not even having to remember all the skills I've created, because it will just know based on like words that I type in a chat that trigger it as well. That side of it for me, for someone like me who is like, I'm very like neurodivergent, out of sight, out of mind. I can't hold all this stuff in my head. I love the way that Claude just makes it super easy to create, to call on them. It's just brilliant.
So basically, a skill gets called into any conversation you're having. And we're going to talk about the different types of ways to use Claude, like Cowork and Code. But these skills lay account wide. And I think the biggest thing about it is like a custom GPT couldn't call itself into a conversation. Like you could be having a chat and you may have had a custom GPT that's would have been really helpful in that chat you were having, but there was no connection point between them. It wasn't intuitive enough to call in those instructions essentially. Whereas like when I was prepping for this podcast episode, I wanted to give everyone here a prep doc, and it knew I didn't have to say, call in my brand skill. And it just created this beautiful brand doc based on me basically only putting in everyone's information. I'm like, we need to prep. This is what the roundtable is going to be about. And I had like a 6-page branded document with my logo and everything created in 2 minutes because the skill is in my account. And just me saying I needed a prep doc, it knew to call that in, which is nothing like we could do in ChatGPT. So these are the 3 things I want to talk about. I want to touch on what we're creating in Claude, the workflows that we're using in Claude to make our business run more smoothly. And then I want to talk about the difference between chat, Cowork, and Code. So let's talk about some of the things first that we're creating with Claude right now.
Well, I'll share one because I'm literally in the middle of creating it right now. For this exact podcast that we're doing, Monica said, you guys can share a freebie. And so I was like, great. What freebie should I share? So first I went to Claude Chat and just said, this is what we're talking about. What freebie should I share based on my offer suite and the lead magnets I already have? And it was like, well, there's not a great option here, like super relevant to this, but here's 3 options that I could create for you that you could share. And one of them, and it knows everything about me and my business and like the kinds of things that would be relevant to me. And so one of the things it suggested was this interactive tool where somebody just writes in what like their bio is basically. And then it gives them 10 prompts to use in Claude based on where they're at in our kind of, Destiny and I both use these flywheel analogies that like we call ours a feminist flywheel or evergreen ecosystem, where you are in kind of the attract, nurture, convert phase, so to speak. And it's going to give you prompts to build a social free plan based on your bio and where you are in the stage. And I just was like, great, I want to use this. The neon boho skill is like one of my skins that I have for creating branded things. It's okay, cool. Create this thing for me. It's an interactive tool that I can publish online. People can just go to it, type it in. They get their prompts now. It's branded in how I want it. And now and as I'm finishing it, I'm going to say, great, now I need an opt-in page for this. So here's the HTML code for my embed from Kartra. Build an opt-in page for this. And then it's going to just build that for me. And so this whole thing is going to be done in like 15 minutes. And it didn't exist 15 minutes ago.
Which is, I think about how long it used to take to put together a funnel, an opt-in, and to the tripwire after it. Just that took a while, little alone having the product ready that you're having people opt into, which like I used to participate, I still do in a lot of bundles and summits, and it would be an entire day prep just to get those funnels up and running for those events. And now I can just participate. It feels like an unlimited events because it's so easy to get these pages up with Claude.
Well, and I was in an event recently, which was a little weird, where she was like, I'm just going to link to wherever you want to host the video. And I'm like, okay. Again, a little odd. Don't know that I'd participate again. But I was like, I want to put together a whole page for this. And so I went into Claude and I was like, hey, here's the transcript of my video. Here's what the video URL is going to be. Like, I want them to go to my freebies. And it created this gorgeous page. It like had the name of the summit on it. It had my video, it had my calls to action. It had my like, hey, these are also mentioned links to my stuff without being like super pushy. And the host was like, oh my gosh, this page is so beautiful. Thanks for taking the time. And I was like, yeah, I spent like 15 minutes on it. But it was great. And I was like, I'm not willing to spend more time on this, but this is actually going to do a lot more than if I manually just thrown it on a page for the video to be there, you know?
I think it's helping us do things not just faster, but better. And that I feel like is the biggest thing, because I'm not just interested in efficiency for efficiency's sake. Like, I don't need to just do more. It's like, oh my gosh, I can actually, yeah. In the past, I would have just done the same, like, great, here's a plain landing page that has the video and maybe a button to my freebie and been like, cool, done. Now, in the same amount of time, maybe less, like you said, we've built out this beautiful thing that actually is going to increase conversions and like position us more as experts and more as like people who know what they're doing. So I feel like that's huge.
For me,
And Monica, oh, I'm sorry. Did somebody?
I was just going to say, for me, it's about helping clients. Like some of the workflows that I've created for clients, like, I do blogging for clients. One of the things I've always done, SEO stuff. And that's hard. That's research into so many different things, learning their audience, learning just so many things about the brand. That's why SEO is so expensive, because there's so much to do. And then when I started realizing how easy it was to set up the Claude workflow to do all that for me. And I mean, I have 4 clients in 1 month right now that would have taken me a month to do. And honestly, I hope they don't listen to this, but I am literally spending no time at all other than just setting up the system for it to run. I mean, uploading their keywords, doing a little bit of the research and investing my time into the strategy. Obviously, I've done that for years and know what they need to do next. I understand their brand. That still has to be relevant. But once that work is done, and once I build what I call it their brand Bible, once I build their Bible, which includes all their keywords and everything that they need, then I just put it on autopilot, and I have to kind of like float out the work to them so they don't know that I just did it all in one day.
AI is just enhancing your genius. Like, it's still your genius.
Right.
And you have learned how to leverage AI to get to the end result of your genius faster to help more people. And you shouldn't not be rewarded for that. You're
exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that too. And so for me, it's as much about helping me and, all the things that I do daily, but also like being like the click of, damn, I can take on so much more work right now and make so much more.
And it doesn't devalue your work because you get done faster. Because guess what? Everyone who's embracing AI is getting their work done faster. That doesn't mean we should get paid less for our genius.
Right. It doesn't devalue the work at all because it's really the initial research and knowledge of that's the most important part still.
Agreed.
It just kind of piggyback on that, talking about our genius. I have so much that I want to like publish. And I was like, especially, Jody did that workshop for my folks yesterday about SEO and AO and all that. And I want to do a lot more publications on my website. And so what I did was set up a skill in Claude, and I probably might even use Cowork for some of this. I'm just not quite there yet, but I set up a skill in Claude where I basically just tell it, here's what the article I want it to be about. Here's the angle, just giving it kind of my genius, if you would. And then from there, it does everything. It just publishes an HTML blog. It does the newsletter information. It will do my LinkedIn information, Threads, Instagram. It will even go out to Canva, create any images that I need, and it will go and schedule everything for me in my social media scheduler. It does it all. I don't even have to touch it. It's amazing. The only thing I have to do is take those images and for anything that needs an image, schedule that manually, but all the content is there.
And we would all agree that is just not possible to do with ChatGPT, correct?
Correct. Not if there is, then that person's a lot smarter than I am.
It's definitely,
I couldn't figure it out.
I think it's definitely a lot more technical to try to attempt something about ChatGPT. I think Codex is catching up to Cowork, or it's attempting to, but it's still a much more technical platform than the Claude is far more user friendly.
And then what I just described to you, I didn't even use Cowork for. That is a Claude skill.
That one thing that's true, that I found with the ChatGPT issue is, like with Claude, not only does it know what skill it needs to bring up, but it does it automatically. Whereas, which someone said earlier, but also it will, like, if you have a skill embedded, like that you bought or you've created, it will modify the skill to then work in a new way. And then, you know what I mean? Like with ChatGPT, if you were using somebody's custom GPT or your own, that's all it did. That was it.
Yeah, right.
Then there was no next step. You had to tell it what a next step was. Whereas with Claude, it's like, oh, well, maybe we should do this now. Like, it's actually a thinking partner.
It is. I also like, even when you're just using it for chat, like when you kick off a project, it asks you questions automatically. Chat really didn't do that. I love the multiple choice because it actually helps me also understand what it thinks I'm saying. And then I'm like, that actually is not the project I was trying to kick off to begin with. And it just cuts out so much noise to get to the point of what I actually need. Steph and Ruth, do you have what are you creating in Claude right now?
What am I not creating? This easier question. Like, so many things. I've spent I've spent the last week head down creating an entire automated process for our events. And I'm not talking like I still have to go and like create a new sales page. I'm talking like dynamic pages that automatically update on their own, thanks to Claude. So like I create a page one time, the information is automatically updating on its own.
And that information.
Wait, what?
We would like to understand how that happens.
Yeah. So basically I put information into Airtable. That information, there's a lot of technical stuff happening in the background, so I'm not going to dive into it. But basically I have one page, say it's my sales page. Every single month, it will pull data from Airtable based on whatever's happening that month and show it on that page. So I never have to create a new landing page again. It is literally just running in the background for me.
Is that connected via are you pulling a scheduled task to kick it off?
Yeah, so that's why I said there's a lot of things connected. So it's like we have the page with the HTML, we have some things happening in Cloudflare, we have the Airtable base, we have the scheduled tasks. So like everything is working in tandem. So now that Destiny steal this idea for your events too.
Yeah, for sure.
This is my idea for the next lovable thing I was going to create. So, sorry. But no, like this. And when I say like, I sent a message to our group last week saying that like my entire life and business has changed because of this. I'm not being dramatic when I say that, because the one thing I think about Claude is it opens up so many more possibilities than I even ever thought of. Like, well, I started getting in thinking that Claude was basically the same as ChatGPT, like, oh, it'll help me write my emails, right? And then I went down this huge rabbit hole of realizing, no, like it is actually running your business for you. And that is the piece that I think so many people don't understand, because like, for example, this process that I've been setting up, I went from having probably 300 different individual ClickUp tasks for each of our events that we do every single month to 7. Those are the only manual tasks that we need now. Because this entire system, it's like, sorry, I could talk about this for a long time. It's so crazy.
Well, that made me think about how I've always operated in my business on a project plan. We use Asana. Like everyone who's ever worked with me knows I will be the bottleneck if I don't put myself on a project plan. We had this kickoff call for one of my events and basically just talked out everything that had to happen. I just fed it to Claude and I connected to my Asana, created an entire project. And I am a project manager at heart. And the project was better than anything I've put together in the 10 years of my business. It was like, excuse me, that took 2 minutes and a conversation that I had that I used to not even record, but now I record everything when I talk to people because it is invaluable. Everything I say on Zoom at this point can go out and do things for me then when I'm done speaking it into the universe, which is just wild. So I want to start talking about workflows coupled with Cowork specifically, but Ruth, I want to give you an opportunity to tell us what you're doing with creating with Claude.
Firstly, I'm just loving all of this stuff. And none of us is doing all of these things, by the way, in case you're like, my mind is blown. And I've got ideas now from everything everyone's been sharing. But what I've been working on this week, literally this week, is to do with how I'm helping my members implement what the work we are doing inside my membership. This is probably for a future part of this conversation or a different conversation. It's bigger than what you've literally just asked me, but I have been turning custom GPTs into skills. I made a skill that does it for me. I'm in the membership answering questions. Cowork is role-playing in the skill as if it's a user. Actually, I don't even know if I had to do it in Cowork, but yeah, it's the chat is doing it in the skill. I'm doing stuff in the membership. Claude's doing stuff over here, and I'm just like, this is the life. I'm just loving this right now. So I test it myself as well, of course, because I'm still, the visionary in my business. I still know what I want my members to achieve, and I know them best and stuff like this. But Claude is giving me a report of the flow, and it's deliberately pushing the boundaries of the skills and stuff like this. I get it to test my custom GPTs as well, and I still use custom GPTs, and that's the part of this conversation that maybe is a little bit of a tangent. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week, and I'm just loving it, And I love when we've been talking about skills and stuff, and there are definite downsides to giving people the skill file, because it includes all, like, they could just literally read all of it. So they have the file and they have it forever. So giving it to people in a membership where they don't have a lifetime access also poses some other questions and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons I'm still using custom GPTs. But the good thing about you can sell skills standalone, that's something that I've been working on, turning some of my standalone custom GPTs into skills. I'm going to sell them. And when users install them, then, like I think Jody was saying, like they can tweak them and mold them around their business. Like when you're having a chat with Claude, you can say, oh, update this skill to reflect this change we made to this process or something like that. So that kind of gave me a light bulb moment, thinking, oh, wow, these selling skills versus custom GPT is actually very powerful for that reason. Anyway, I think I'm getting on a whole tangent about selling AI stuff, but that's what I've been working on this week.
I want to point out that I'm taking notes as we're talking of I'm getting so many ideas listening to all of you, which is fun. So there's a Chrome extension for Claude. And I actually, one of the first times it kind of clicked for me was I needed an output from one of my custom GPTs, because that output that it was going to give me, I wanted to use that to then create an artifact and a skill. And instead of me having to go back and forth with the GPT, I hooked up the Claude Chrome extension, told it to communicate with my custom GPT to get to the final output. It did that in the background. Then I took the output and built the artifact over in Claude. And I was like, so I have two bots talking to each other doing work. And that was kind of wild to me. That was one of the first things I did. Okay, so I want to talk about what Claude Chat is versus Cowork versus Code. I think there's only like maybe two of us that use Code on here, because that's like the more technical version. And it might be Liz and Steph is my guess if I had to, but if anyone uses Code, I will take the first stab at explaining Chat versus Cowork. Someone else can take Code. And then let's talk about how we can use Cowork for our workflows to actually agentically go out and do things for us. So I'll take the first stab. In Chat can do things for you similar to Cowork, but Cowork has access to your computer. And so it can actually do stuff without you. So that's where the agentic thing comes in. There's something called dispatch. And even from your phone, I could be out the grocery store and be like, oh, I forgot to update that spreadsheet. And if your computer's turned on and connected to Cowork, you can prompt on your phone to say, I need this spreadsheet updated from my 2 p.m. meeting. This is the tab I need updated. It can go and pull like a report from, let's say, Airtable. It could pull it from QuickBooks, and it can bring it all together and do that work when you're not sitting there. So it's truly like functioning without you, whereas Chat can do stuff, but you're still in the chat with it. That's how I would describe it. If someone wants to take a stab at poking holes and then adding on Code, I would appreciate it.
I'd just add one other thing to that. I would say I actually use Chat still the most of anything in Claude, but I use Cowork for scheduled tasks the most. And so, yeah, there's some I say it's basic. It's actually amazing, but like some basic stuff where you can it controls your computer. So you can have it clean up your desktop and reorganize your files and rename 1,000 photos and, whatever you need it to do. And that's cool. But I don't feel like that's like an ongoing need that a lot of us are like, oh, if I could just do this, I'd be making so much more money. So where I feel like I use Cowork the most is creating scheduled tasks. And I will have scheduled tasks to post to my school community, for example, to every Wednesday, I write my Sunday newsletter. And so now I have created a skill and I have a scheduled task. The skill knows how the newsletter is put together and how I write in my brand voice and what to include. The skill also knows it has to ask me questions before it can write the newsletter because there is still human input that's needed. And so every Wednesday at 8 a.m., it's going to run this task. It's going to start putting together the newsletter. It's going to ping me to say, hey, I need your input on these things so I can finish the newsletter. I tell it, oh, yeah, okay, this is what I need to include in these sections. This is, the book I'm reading this week, whatever. And then it will complete the newsletter in HTML. And then now I'm about to migrate, but depending on what email service provider you're using, you can even have it upload that HTML directly into your email builder. So you don't have to even manually do the copy paste, which is, in itself only like a 30-second task anyway, but it can do that piece for you. So by me just answering a few quick questions now, every Wednesday, my newsletter is completely populated in my email service provider, scheduled to send. And so that's more how I'm using Cowork. And I have a lot of other scheduled tasks. Some of my favorites are just like my morning briefing. And it's just checking my calendar, my inbox, my ClickUp. It's going through all of my stuff and just telling me like, hey, here's what's going on today. Here's what needs your attention, helping me get my to-do list organized. I can come brain down. And so some of the things are just like that. But I would say mostly I'm still just using Claude Chat for most things.
So Claude Chat requires us to kick the task off. Like even though it can go and do things in the cloud, right? Not on our actual hard drives, but it can in the cloud. You still need to kick it off. Whereas these scheduled tasks can kick off without you being present.
Right.
Which is
cool. Yeah. And also like the way Cowork works, because it can work on your computer or in Chrome, it can do things on certain websites or look at things on certain websites, even if there's not a connector available for that thing, if that makes sense.
It pulled down 100 product listings from my Shopify store. They don't have a direct Shopify connector, and I couldn't get Claude Chat to do it. So sometimes you just have to experiment like between the difference. So I was trying to get it to do it in Claude Chat, and it was like, oh, there's no connector. I can't do it. I went to Cowork, and I honestly have no idea what it did, but I turned my back, came back, and I had an Airtable full of all of my Shopify products, the links, the URLs. They tagged them. I was like, it just took over Chrome. All they said is sure. And then it was within minutes. It was wild. And I have no idea how it did it, but it did it.
Amazing.
Who wants to take on code, the differences between Cowork and Code?
I'll say I haven't even touched code yet.
Same.
And I'm still blown away by what Claude can do. So there's that.
So I've just messed with Claude Code a little bit. I kind of had messed with Codex more, but Claude Code, like I said, I initially tried doing it as like an artifact to do my like Kit cleanup manager. So you guys all know I rebranded last year. I've been with Kit for well over 10 years. I've got 400 plus tags. I've got 40 something custom fields, half of which I don't even use, like just random that I just need to clean out. I need to rename. I need to like just do this stuff. And yeah, you could do that in Kit, but I think we all know you go, you click, you rename, you have to have it load all it's a process. And so I looked at the API and I was like, I could connect this to Airtable because I know how to do it. I can write a script, I can have it pull in everything and then work through that. But I was like, that's still kind of tedious. So I went into, after trying to do an artifact and it not working because of the sandbox environment, and again, this is getting technical, I went into Code and I was like, hey, make this easy so it works. So it'll show me all of my custom fields, all of my tags, all of my segments. And then because the API lets me update tags and custom fields, hey, this is like the cleanup I'm trying to do. And so it created this, I double clicked, I put in my Kit API key, and now I've got this page that has 452 tags. And it's then got, here's the current name. here's the like potential brand we think based on what your current name is, because I'm not always great about using my naming conventions. And then it's like action. Do you want to delete, review, rename, keep as is? And then what's the proposed name? And it's like for all the ones that were BBS, it proposed it's, COH, which is the new brand acronym. And I can just go in and review all of them in one place and then push all the changes. And it just created this page to do.
So why did you need code to connect it for people who are not familiar?
So it created, basically, I double clicked it and it's opening up basically a web page for me. It's an HTML file. And so code let it connect to the Kit API and actually work, because if you do it as an artifact, it's working in a sandbox environment. And so the Kit API won't actually connect and work. So it wouldn't actually pull in my tags and stuff. And so I just took the whole conversation where I was trying to do an artifact, and it was like, well, we could run it in terminal and we could do. I was like, this is too technical. My brain is too tired. I've had too many things fail this week. I need an easier way to do this. And so I just literally took copied the whole chat, moved it over to code. I was like, hey, can this be easier? And I was like, yeah, we can just publish it as a page and then off you go.
Could you have done this in Cowork, or did it have to be code?
I think it had to be code, but it's what I was trying to do. I feel like in Cowork, it would have been a lot more it would have required a lot more back and forth. It would have required a much higher usage rate, which, as you all know, I'm on the low plan right now because I'm very much foundational pivot stuff. When I finish that up and my income starts going up, maybe I'll go to that 100 plan. But right now I'm like, we're not there yet. So yeah, and it just made it. I mean, it's just easy to do it right for me to fix stuff. It's kind of like how I used. And I've used ChatGPT for a long time to help me generate scripts. And I think Claude can do it just as well. Claude actually very much helped me when I was moving a Lovable project from Lovable's cloud to my own base hosted thing. And it talked me through what I need to enter in terminal to make it work and stuff. Because I'm not as technical. I'm not super technical, but I was like, I know what terminal is. If you tell me what to copy and paste, I can do that.
I didn't know what terminal was until Cowork one day said, open terminal on your computer, put in this code, and it's going to do the thing that I'm trying to do. And I was like, what is terminal? I didn't even know there was something on my Mac called terminal.
Yeah. So it's very helpful. But I think in terms of I was like, I just need it for this one thing. I'm not looking. I was like, maybe I will be like, hey, give me this code and I'll sell it for people to do their Kit update. But for me, for what I just wanted, it's I just need a single page. It's just easy to do. And I could have Airtable pull it all in, and then I could update it, and then I could have a script automation that pushes it. But that was still tedious. Whereas this is just there.
So I think for the ordinary online business person or content creator that's listening to this, our sweet spot is going to be in Cowork, because code seems a little bit, and I think they're going to make, I've been listening to different podcasts where I think they're ultimately trying to make code more user friendly outwardly for people. But that's really where Cowork kind of bridge the gap between just having this task-based chat to let's go out and do stuff. So in terms of Cowork, what other things are we doing to run our businesses with Cowork?
I mean, Kate's morning report. I think I love that for especially going to check my customer support to Gab, because I hate having it's I always dread it because I was like, what if there's a fire, And just to take the time to have to go every morning and check it. And it's I don't even have to go do that. It's just going to show up. It's just, it gets rid of the dread. It makes it so it's just there with all the other top things I need to look at. It's just, it helps mindset wise and time wise.
I think that's one of the scheduled tasks in Cowork creating reports and things for me has been one of the most useful use cases I've found. Whether it's a morning report, I have an end of day wind down report. I also have things every month it's going into my Google Search Console and looking at my traffic and where things are coming from. And I see Monica being yep, adding that to my list. And then it's giving me a report. I have a weekly it's called competitor intel, but I really don't believe in competition. And it's much more so just what are other people in my industry doing, and what are kind of the news stories I need to know about. Both from I want to know what are other coaches and course creators selling right now, just to have more of a pulse on is everybody selling the same stuff? Are they selling custom GPTs? Are we moving into Claude skills? I want to know the YouTube creators I follow. What are they posting about? What are the episodes? What do you call a YouTube video? Like, what are the videos that I should add to my list of like, I want to go watch this. And I follow a lot of like meta ads marketers on YouTube. And so it will tell me like, this is what's happening with Meta right now and Andromeda's latest update and this and that. And so like, I think just kind of doing like the research and triage for me of all these things that were just more time consuming before, or would take me opening up 25 tabs to figure out all of this. And now it's just kind of like consolidated into these reports for me every month. And then it can create tasks for me, whether it's like create a task for me and click up to now go do this thing based on this idea, or go do this thing for me. Like, oh, great, posted about this in school. That's a perfect post for my school community. And then it can just go do that for me. So yeah, I think kind of those reports are the best way I've found so far to use Cowork.
I like that. What I like about Cowork is the dispatch a lot because, so example, yesterday, watching TV, sitting on my couch, my laptop, I've made a new rule. My laptop stays in my office unless it's emergency, or else I will be on Claude all night long while watching TV, trying to cook dinner, trying to have a conversation with my husband, and Claude and me are on the laptop. So new rule for Jody's house, laptop stays in the office most of the time, but dispatch is right on my phone. So sitting there watching TV, watching the Madison. If y'all haven't watched it, go watch Madison. Anyway, so, and I had this idea for a blog post. So dispatch to my computer, I give it the idea. And then this morning when I got up, my blog post was written in Notion and had been assigned to Hannah, my assistant, to add to my blog. And all it was me talking through the content of the blog, like what I wanted to say, what it was going to be about. It's an angry post, like like I'm against this and here's why post. And I talked my way through it and took like 30 seconds, sent it through dispatch. And I have a blog post and it'll be now I could have had it uploaded to WordPress. I'm still a control freak about that. I'm still like, I think this week is the week I'm going to try to have it do it myself, but I'm so scared it's going to ruin my website. But yeah,
to add some
example. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love all of your examples. And I wanted to add something about like cognitive load. I'm trying to lean into sharing examples that seem really basic as well, because I know that sometimes the most basic idea, like you just don't think of doing it. And then when you realize you can do it, it's really helpful. So I'm going to share something basic. But for me, and again, sometimes it's chat, but the specific use cases in Cowork that I use for the kind of cognitive load. One example is I'm really bad with using stats and interpreting, debriefing, all of this. So I just opened all the tabs on Chrome of all the stats that I had for my summit. And I'm like, Cowork, please can you go and collect all of these and put them all in one place and write a report on it? That's something that would be very overwhelming for me. Another thing is I have a membership where I have a Google Calendar so that people can follow it. And I also have a school calendar. There's probably a better way to link the two, but I have Cowork go and make sure that there's no discrepancies between the two. It's a very basic thing, but that was something that was a real problem for me. I kept getting it wrong. Again, I'm sure there's another level of automation there that I haven't yet implemented, but these little basic ways of using it that save you stress are still very, very important. One thing that has been really helpful for me is like I've just been through a period where this is unlike me, but I've been struggling to write emails to my list. Usually that's the thing I always keep up. But I was like, you know what? Let me take this to Claude and see what Claude has to say about it. And I went through the whole process and just asked it, like, what's the holes in my kind of processes that is getting me into this state now where I haven't sent an email for ages. Again, that's not necessarily Cowork specific, but it will help you if you chat with it and figure out the holes in your processes or the things where you get stuck and overwhelmed. The overwhelm piece is huge for me. Like I can't say enough about like how helpful it is to use AI because I'm capable. I'm a capable human. There's a lot of stuff that I could figure out myself. Am I overwhelmed a lot of the time? Yes. Do really small things sometimes seem absolutely huge to me? Yes, all the time. So using AI for that side of things, really, really helpful. So helpful.
Okay, I just had a genius idea of how to wrap this up. So I think several of us are going to be publishing this on our podcast. It will definitely be published on mine, which is the Empowered Business Podcast, where I do provide the transcript. So this is how I think we should wrap it up. You can grab the transcript, and each of us are going to go around and give an idea of something that you can ask Cowork or Claude Chat to help you with. And so you can take the transcript, feed it into your own Claude, and say, can you help me do all these ideas? Can you help me figure out how what they're doing in their businesses would fit into mine based on this transcript? And I guarantee you're going to be mind blown probably with what Claude can come back with. And since I just dropped this on everyone, I'm going to go first with my idea. So let's give our idea and also how everyone can find us on the internet, like our freebies that we're giving away. They'll be in the show notes for whoever's publishing it. So I'll go first. What I did, piggybacking on my idea of how I had Cowork go out and pull down all my shop listings from the Empowered Shop, I also had it go to my course site. I have things all over the place. So I basically got this aggregate Airtable base of all of my products with the URLs. I then have a scheduled task that goes out. It scans my AI newsletters in my inbox. It scans the daily news, and it benchmarks against all of my products, different AI angles I could take for promotion. So if something's blowing up in the AI world and I have a training or a workshop on it, it gives me an angle for promotion for a flash sale. And I then took it a step further, and now it will build a spotlight that I can put in my daily email to promote whatever is relevant to what's going on in the AI space. And if you want to find me, this is Monica talking, you can find me. I am directing everyone to my free school community, which is the Empowered AI Collective, which we will link to in the show notes. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. This is Kate. I'm not going to add something new because I do feel like the morning briefing is one of the best things you can do for your business, and just setting it up to connect to your Gmail. If you have a project management software, Notion, ClickUp, Asana, I'm sure they all have connectors. Look at your calendar. You know, I am a cyclical living gal, so I also have it updated on where I am in my menstrual cycle and what's happening with the cosmos. And so it'll tell me, we're heading into a full moon. You might want to, focus on these sorts of things. So you can customize it to whatever the things are that you care about. And all you really have to do is go into Claude Cowork, say, I want to create a morning briefing. Here's some ideas from this transcript that I'm pulling from this podcast. What are some things that I could include in mine? Suggest it, build this skill for me, schedule it to run every morning at 7 a.m. or whatever time works for you. I have my freebie in here, which is going to be up very soon. I had to stop in the middle of my 15-minute session here to come on this episode, but it is that how to build your social media free business. And it's a Claude tool. It's an artifact that you can use where you can just put in a 2-sentence description of what you do, and it'll give you 10 different ideas of how you can use Claude in a social free way to grow your business, depending on where you are kind of in that flywheel process. So that's the freebie for everybody.
Love it. Who wants to go next?
I'll jump in. This is Destiny here. And I think that my kind of challenge would be, or what's been the biggest game changer for me, is automation of my newsletters. All of my newsletters with Claude and Claude Cowork. And it's kind of timely because I am covering this next week too in the Newsletter Profit Club, where we're doing our AI automations lab. But go to Claude, figure out, use Cowork, figure out just automate one of your newsletters. I think it'll make a huge, huge difference for you there. And my free gift is my creator scorecard, where you can go in and assess where you want to or where you should focus in kind of up-leveling your business with the creator's growth flywheel. And that is at scorecard.destinycop.com.
Liz, what about you?
So I'm going to start with my freebie because it's my 10-minute time waster audit, which helps you kind of just map out all the things you're doing, which I think is a great, then take that map, throw it in the cloud and be like, help me figure out what I can automate, right? Help me, what are things I don't need to do? I think that's a great way to kind of start getting your wheels turning of what you can hand off and what you don't need to be as focused on anymore. And then, when in doubt, if there's something you hate doing, ask if there's a way you can automate it, especially with AI, and just go from there. So.
And what is your free gift?
Oh, it's my 10-minute time waster audit that I started the thing with. Use that.
Love it. Jody?
Okay, I'll start with my free gift too. So that I just created, and it's not quite ready yet, but it's going to be awesome because I'm testing it. But it's a visibility audit, a visibility scorecard. So you go through and answer questions about your content on your website, your authority, everything, and it will kind of give you a priority list. And I'm probably going to do like a 4-day email series afterwards. And that is at bornstrategic.ai.com. So it'll just be on the homepage there. And what I think you should do every day, or a skill that you should try, let's see. Honestly, for me, because I'm an ideas person, I get tons and tons and tons of ideas every day while I'm just going about my regular day that I need to keep, I've always struggled keeping them organized and where do these ideas live and what do they do? So I created a skill that I think is useful where I can send it through dispatch if I want to, and just say, keep these skills organized, but keep this organized for me. But then it tells me kind of what to get rid of. That's not a good idea for you, or, because I'm always wanting to try all these new things. So it knows my capabilities, and it just says, chick, hold on, you don't need to do that. You've got this going on. Remember, you've already promised this and that. And so I like that. And then it'll put it in a Notion for me, in a Notion database just for later, but it prioritizes, what to do. So I think that's a kind of a useful thing for people that are idea people.
Love that. Steph?
Yeah. So my suggestion would be, I have a couple, but one that I would recommend everybody do, especially if you have skills, create a weekly scheduled task that will review those skills and find out if there are any updates that need to be made. So you can prompt it to say, look through all of my recent chats. If we made any updates since this skill has been created, update it for me. So it'll flag all of those, because I do that a lot where I just kind of get excited. I go in, for example, if I'm updating a page, right now I forget to update that skill with the updates that I made in that chat. So this can go through that and automatically do it for you. So I would say if I could pick one, and that would probably be my number one that I would recommend. And my free resource, since we started talking, I also changed it. So it is going to be, I don't know the name of it yet. I'm literally creating it after we get off of this in the next 20 minutes. But it'll be focused on stealing the exact workflows that I use in Claude, because I'm all about automation. So I'm going to give you literally those things, and you can just kind of swipe them as well.
And she's like the queen of automation. So I want the free gift as well. So thank you for creating that for us. And Ruth?
I just want to say we're all so funny how we're all like, oh, it's in development. And I'm going to say the same thing, but I'm also going to sign up for all these freebies. They're so good. So what's very much on my mind this week is using Claude to test my own creations. I think that this is really helpful, both from a practical standpoint and how well you are helping people with the things you create. So by creations, I literally mean the stuff I already talked about, custom GPTs, skills I'm going to sell, but also, it could be resources that you're creating for your members or stuff like that. Get it, or your website, test the flow of it and stuff like that. So whatever you are creating at the moment, get that report from Claude about the flow and anything it's missing and stuff like that. It makes you feel more solid in the value of it, as well as it being practically helpful. And the freebie that I'm actually working on right now is more about the cognitive load side of things, because it helps me with that so much. But I know that sometimes it can be very hard to know where to even start. So I need to give this freebie a name, but it's going to help you to figure out where to start with taking things off your plate with Claude, and also give some prompts for some messy brain dumps for different areas of your business. So if you don't know where to begin, that's where you get started.
Oh, I want all of your freebies. Thank you. Thank you all for offering all these wonderful things. So wherever you're listening, we will put all the links that we talked about in the show notes, or if someone's sending out via email. All of our audiences are a little bit different how we're going to host this, but I just want to thank all of you ladies for joining us for this roundtable and sharing all of your amazing ideas on how people can leverage Claude in their business.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Soulful Sales. If you have a moment to rate and review, know that it really does make a difference. And if you would like to carry on the conversation, then you can connect with me in the free community at ruthpoundwhite.com/community, or my personal favorite, join me inside the Soulful Sales Society membership at ruthpoundwhite.com/membership. And keep doing what you're doing because your work really does matter.